Friday the 13th. Yeah. Yes. What do we have an intro? I don't like that. Yeah. Anyway, we're here with Terry Bad again on Friday the 13th. This is episode number 2 of the SMC broadcast. Really wasn't planning on doing it this quickly, but we had really good response from the first one, and a lot of this. Thank you.
Back by popular demand.
I need more. Yes, there we go. Hey, seriously though, so tonight we're going to give a shot at just not playing it by ear, off the cuff like we did last time. We're going to do a little more. We thought a little more about it, so I think we're going to start off with some SMC bands. Not all of them. There's no way we can do all of them in one episode, but thought we would just give a shot and hit some of the major ones and talk about it a little bit, throw some videos and excerpts of songs and that kind of thing. So this was probably starting off before we ever met. I think it was in the early days of the Hazel Green studio, which was studio number 2.
When did you open those doors?
That's a good question that I don't have in front of me. Let's see, man, I can't remember really when. I mean, I could look it up, so maybe we'll put it in there. But first studio was up in Tennessee, and the way it came about was I was looking for something to keep me busy. I was used to working a lot of hours. For a couple of years, I'd worked 60 to 80 hours a week.
Wow.
And, when you go from that to nothing and not having some of your hobbies that you can do, I had to come up with something. And I had several different possibilities, but I decided on the studio. And the intention originally was to just something for me to pillow with, keep busy.
Right.
Really, that's just to occupy my time when I felt like doing something, I could do something. And, I bought some gear and started playing around with stuff. I mean, I had played around with things years before, being in a band and stuff like that. You get a chance to mix some live, and I've been in the studio a couple times as a client and was fascinated by it, of course. But anyway, I had plenty of time. And first off, the way I like music so well. I have these favorite albums, but not all of them sound that great.
True.
You might like an album and it just doesn't sound that great. So I started playing around with making them sound better, which really is like remastering them without the original 2 tracks. But what I had, started playing around with it, got to know the equipment and software and this and that. And so some of my albums that, I would, after I got them sounding the way I wanted them to, I of course listened to them, and people would come over, friends of mine, hang out. You're having a few cold ones and you're listening to your favorite album or several of them, and they go, "Hey man, that really sounds good, but my album doesn't really sound like that. Is this a different edition or a different release, or is it just your stereo system is really good?" I said, "Well, it's a pretty good system," but I explained to them what I did.
Right.
And so that's where that came about. So I had my own copies of some of my albums, and sort of fast forward a little bit, I don't know, probably a year or something, but this lady came by that I knew in the Dio circles back then, and she came and hung out for the weekend. You know, same thing happened. One of her favorite Dio albums was, I think it was one of the Tracy G era, like
Angry Machines.
I believe it might have been, or Strange Highways. It was one of those. And she said the same thing. And I said, well, you know, I told her what I did. And she goes, well, you know, could you make me a copy of that? And I was like, you know, I don't own the rights to this. I just did it for myself. I really can't do that. I just thought it
Which is the correct answer, kids.
right. So, you know, she talked to me and blah, 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 you know, gave me a couple hugs and kisses and took off her shirt and, you know, a few other things like that.
Right,
you know?
right. You know, the normal stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah. And anyway, she ended up leaving with a CD.
At the very least.
And yeah, so you know, fast forward a little bit too. I'm in the studio one day and the phone rings, and you know, I look down, the caller ID is a Los Angeles number. I recognized the area code. I lived in LA for a little while, so I like, you know, and I've got had a couple cousins that lived out there that were still family. I picked up the phone. Yeah, and he said, is this Scott? And I went, yeah. Hey, Scott, this is Tracy G.
Really?
And he started explaining who he was, you know, like blah, blah, all this. And I was like, Tracy, I know who you are. Okay, I've met you a couple times. I'm sure you don't remember, but I know who you are. He goes, okay. Well, I got this CD in my hand here. And I went, oh, my God. Man, my heart fell. You know, I was just thinking, I pictured, like, you know, cease and desist letters.
Exactly.
Lawyers, you know, with, you know, briefcases and, you know, all this stuff. And I was like, oh, my God, how can, you know, he's like, I just knew what he was going to say. He was like, do you know so-and-so? And I went, yeah. Well, she gave me this. And I was like, oh, why? I had intentionally told her not to, you know,
right.
Anybody listen to it, whatever. I mean, it's just, you know, but of course, yeah, he says, you know, so I started, I'm sure I was like humming and hawing, and it actually took me you know, it's probably a longer pause than I thought, like before I even answered. But he's like, hey, no problem. You know, I really like it. And I go, you know, and I was sort of, okay. Because I thought he was going to lay into me. And he's like, well, I did not like the sound of the album when it came out either. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah, you know, when we were tracking in the studio, we got the mix done. It sounded great. We got it back from the masters, and, you know, and I didn't like the way it sounded. I was like, well, I don't think it sounds too good either, really. You know, and we talked about a little bit of that. And he goes, well, I want you to send me a copy. And I was like, okay. And he said, and I want you to put you know, back then the Japanese releases had like bonus tracks that we didn't have in the U.S. and stuff. And he goes, do you have so-and-so and that bonus track on that thing? I was like, no, Trey, I don't have that. He goes, well, I'm going to send it to you. And I want you to do whatever you did to this, to it. And I'll, you know, send me a copy. I was like, all right, you know. So he sent it to me, and I did it, sent it back, and he called me up again when he got it, and he's like, man, this is kicking now. I really like the sound of it. He said, you even put it in different order. And I did, because I didn't really like the order of the songs either.
It's your prerogative.
And he's like, oh, I like what you did there, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, you know. And after that, I don't remember if it was the same phone call or it was other phone calls, because we had many and conversations and emails and this and that. But he said, well, I'm working on some solo stuff now, and, you know, would you be interested in like working on it with me? And I was like, oh, that's a stupid question. I was thinking, I was like, yeah, sure. All right. You know how it goes down, man.
It's live.
Hey, that works out real good. We're not to Loced Out yet, but hey, that works. All right. So let's see, where was I? Yeah, okay. So, you know, so what he did was, you know, and it's weird to me too, because I thought at the time, you know, I mean, he's living in LA. It's like, you know, there's studios and people on every street corner probably, right. You know, and I thought this was odd, but anyway, whatever. I was happy to do it. He'd send me stuff, and I'd work, work on it and send it back and, tweak it this and that. It's like normal now. And when it was finished, I would assemble the tracks, master them together, put the codes in and all that, and send it back to him for him to send it to the label, for the release. So we did that on several releases. And then, of course, he would, I guess, to tell some of his friends out there, and they would, they started hitting me up. So I started getting mastering gigs like that, which I really like doing, even to this day. It's just a lot of fun, and that's a topic for another episode because we're not going to be able to have time to go through the albums that I've worked on mastering and stuff. Maybe hit on a little bit, but anyway, so that's sort of how I and then that's how I sort of learned a lot of the tools and stuff, and of course, when you got a studio, I don't care what, even though you got it for yourself, you always have friends that hang out. Hey, I got this song, and how about let's work on this. I
wouldn't know nothing about that.
Yeah. So, that started happening. So I started doing more of that, and that's really how SMC, became. Eventually moved into a commercial building that some of you guys were familiar with in Hazel Green, there by Billy's Sports Bar, and it was, I don't know, it was pretty good size. I guess like 2,400 square feet or something.
Yeah, it was big.
Oh, and we had a lot of fun there. It was, ups and downs, because being next to a bar sometimes is not the best place for a business like that. But it was exciting, and we had a lot of fun. But one of the first clients, I guess, that I started working on majorly, besides just a little like friends bands and people like that, was guys called Loced Out Entertainment. Ben Gentle and Crystal and Choco. One day they came by the studio, which happened fairly regularly. Hey, opened their trunk up and they got a CD, a burned CD.
Right.
Like, hey, been working on this. And of course, most of the time, you really don't, be honest, you don't even listen to them. But sometimes, you do if you put it in and listen to it. Most of the time, it wasn't very good, most of the stuff. But this happened to be, I listened to it and I was like, wow, you guys did this by all yourself? And they go, yeah. And I was like, this sounds pretty good, but we can make it better. And so that's where it started on that. I started, mastering for them. And then that moved on to other, working on all the tracks from the, beginning, ground up, I guess. But anyway, I thought we'd play a little bit of one. I think this one is just for the G's Volume 3, and I'll put the graphic up in post. But we're going to play a little bit of some of this here. Let me pull the fader up.
Yo, you know how it goes down, man. I've been here with the Loced Out sort of rivals, you know what I'm saying? It's right here just for the G's, you feel me? You know we ride, you know we cruising. Whether you in your slab or your low riders, you feel me? Shouts out to all the Mecca. What's up, Manic Beats? What's up, Conrad Customs? What's up, Swisher Highs? From Alabama to Texas, man, you know how it go down.
Started from the bottom just to make it to the top, top. Can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, won't stop, and we ain't never gon' stop. Can't stop, we ain't never gon' stop. Started from the bottom just to make it to the top, top. Can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, won't stop, and we ain't never gon' stop. Can't stop, we ain't never gon' stop. I ain't start from the bottom. I dug myself up out that hole like SPM. I grabbed the pen and taught myself how to flow. Patiently waiting, now I get to see my cash grow. Straight drop out that pot, show you how to get this dough. Now this is something you can smoke and just ride to. I'm smoked out, loaded out, swinging down College Avenue. In my what candy drop, My pockets full of guap. The only rocks that I rock, I throw them in my watch. 28 standing tall, is lonely at the top.
By the way, that's Choco.
Posted on the block. Gunplay, I do say I'm handy with the Glock until my casket drop. I can't stop and won't stop. Started from the bottom just to make it to the top. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop, and we ain't never gon' stop. Can't stop, we ain't never gon' stop. Started from the bottom just to make it to the top. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop, and we ain't never gon' stop. Can't stop, we ain't never gon' stop.
Jumped up in this game quick, put it down like a vet. Right now's a good time if you ain't started hating yet. Made it through a lot of hard times, held my head up high. Made it through a lot of hate and kept my faith up in the sky. You can find me where the money is, then I'll double that. Take the weed to the head like a double tap. This serious biz, I ain't in it for the friends, I'm in it for the stacks and the brand new bin. There ain't no stopping this movement, it's going down. Still smoking purple green, still sitting on that brown. And we ain't never gonna stop. Now the game on lock, we looking down from the top. Yeah,
started from the bottom just to make it to the top. Can't stop.
You know, I have to say too, when this happened, a disclaimer on that, I'm not really a fan of rap music. You know, I never was. So on top of that, you know, it hit me how well it was done, and there's a little young right there.
My garage open up, look like a slam fest. I'm creeping through South Park, jamming AC chill. The chrome glow on the road, Southside for real. I'm riding dirty like Pimp C. The 16s in my trunk, banging Pimp C. I'm just swinging, jamming UGK. You know Texas ride dirty like UGK. Trunk on them and swing on them, and that's the daily routine. Promethazine and codeine, handlebars up in the weed. I be gone when you see me, but yeah, that means I'm gold. They coming big gun, I'm loped out for show. Started from the bottom.
And that was somebody else. That's a drop, they call, you know, somebody puts another part in it. I can't remember who it is, to be honest with you, who it was. Lil Young from Swisher House was that. And I tell you what, there's something about the way he phrases stuff. I always thought it was really cool. But anyway, like I said, I never was that, you know, big a fan. But, you know, I liked some of it. I like some of the guys like out of Memphis, what do they call them, 666 Mafia, you know, some of that stuff. And some of the dirty South stuff I like. But,
up shit, man. Ask my homie Be Gentle. Ask my homie Choco. Ask my homegirl Mamas. I ain't gonna tell you what it is. Salute a soldier when you see one.
I don't know. I just like that stuff. So I enjoyed working on those. We ended up literally almost every day, you know, we were working on this stuff. You know, they'd get off work, he'd get off work, whatever, go eat, come by the studio, and we'd work on stuff, you know, when something else wasn't going on. So it was a fairly intensive thing for several years. We did 3 or 4 full-length releases. And so anyway, that's sort of the way that started. There's another song on this one that I remember doing it first time. It's weird. Some of the songs, you know, you just don't really remember it. It's too much, you know, too many days between things. But I remember first hearing, you know, when we started working on this one, and this is just one of my favorites on this album. It's called $100 Bills.
Yeah. Rather popular.
Yeah, shout out to IDB. It's Loced Out up here at SMC Recording Studios, live in the booth. Shout out to Scott Plates. Yeah. SMC Productions and Loced Out Ent back at it again. Yeah. bills on these silk sheets. Ballin' in this bitch, don't tip me. Rubber band poppin', pockets really deep. Hustle hard all day, still in the streets. $100 bills on these silk sheets. Ballin' in this bitch, don't tip me. Rubber band poppin', pockets really deep. Hustle hard all day, still in the streets. I get right back on it, better than my opponent. Buy it if I want it. I got the slab flow, look like I'm roller coasting. I got the jar open, this weed is so potent. It got your boy toasted. On the grind in the studio, working beats. I'm up in this bitch a couple days a week. Nothing but that money on my mind. I'ma close my eyes and dream about it a couple of times. $100 bills on these silk sheets. Ballin' in this bitch, don't tip me. Rubber band poppin', pockets really deep. Hustle hard all day, still in the streets. $100 bills on these silk sheets. Ballin' in this bitch, don't tip me. Rubber band poppin', pockets really deep. Hustle hard all day, still in the streets.
So that's just a little taste. They also, of course, started doing a lot of videos, and some of them they did other places. Some of them did in DFW because they were from Choco and Mamas are from DFW, I think. And oh yeah,
Uh-oh.
a little
Slow down.
Lee in
Slow
there.
down.
So of course some of them, they asked me about shooting at the studio, and I said, yeah, that'd be fine. And that turned out to be quite a lot of fun. And some of those videos are really good. Even back in the day, I watched some today and they still, hold up. One of my favorites is called Blowing Swishers in the House, and it's features Lil Young from Swisher House. He came in for the weekend or whatever and hung out in the studio, and Dino Tarantino, I think's his name, or I have to look it up. Now I'll drop the video in here in post, so you'll get to see some of it, but I'm gonna play it now. So still not used to that ashtray being moved.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's not your fault. Terry's got him a nice little shelf over there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's with the coffee cup, because he mentioned last time, he goes, man, I need a place for my coffee cup. So I put him a shelf and that kind of thing, where he's like really styling over there, man.
Poppy treats me really good.
All right, we're gonna dump this video here and play it along with it a little bit, and I'm gonna drop the video in post, so you'll get to see it. That's Lil Young driving the car, and they're in the Hazel Green location. They're pulling up in the parking lot there at the Hazel Green studio. That's where that is. This is Choco's car, by the way. They made it like it was Lil Young's, but and that's Mama's and Ben and Lil Young. I always liked that graphic too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, the famous SMC door, huh?
Right.
My man Choco. What's up, mamas? No, I be gone and the motherfucker name is Young. I stay high, then the motherfucker cushion my blunt.
Disclaimer, this was all like artificial weed and smoke machines.
Right.
I got this bad little bitch talking about she ready to go live up on the click. Girl, hold you steady. I be on the block, low gas.
Dino did a good job with this video, I think.
I stay blonde swishers in the house with the family. I'm low that cuz. Understand me, I'm stacking up this paper.
That was real money, dude.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it right.
And what ones?
Are you saying it was $100 bills?
Yeah.
Man, they vape a lot.
Yeah. Most of this was shot at SMC, but like that right there, not that, but that was actually at Ben's house at the time. But most of it's at SMC there. That's in where the pool tables were. That's the old control room before it was blocked off with a vocal booth.
Smoking nothing but them sweets, blowing circles with that purple. Need to get like me. I'm in the house of the fam. You know we always put it down. Mama's roll up the dro, go on and pass it around so we can all get right and smoked out. I can't see, low down, switch your house straight, gone on the tree. So put the leaf in the sweet and give your fingers a twist. Get money, stay true, Alabama and Texas. In the house with the family, I'm low that good. I be on the block, low that, smoked out, feeling good. Tattoos up on my body, represent for my neighbor. I stay blonde swishers in the house with the family, I'm low that good. I be on my block.
Oh, Choco.
Drop, I'ma put it in they face. Hell no, it won't stop. Bumping something that screwed and chop. Still tipping down College Ave. As I pull up in my driveway, you jump out my slab. On my lokes, giving dap the bop, showing mad love. Got my spot cracking like a motherfucking club. Moving real slow as I walk up through the door. Cause I'm gone off that drink, boy, I been super throw. Back to pass out, so I hop up on the couch. Already smoked out, blowing swishers in the house. Real younger swisher house, that's my family loped out. We had to come up on this track and show them what we talking about. Funky time, the hustle time, you know we hold it down. So holla at your boy when that
Brings back a lot of memories.
got perked by the pound, that low E smoking good. We put on, boy, I say they representing for the hood. We loped out, smoked out, feeling good. Tattoos up on my body, represent for my neighbor. I stay blonde swishers in the house with the family. I'm loped out good.
Oh, Johnny. I never saw those guys behind the mask.
Huh.
Money, money on my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Money on my mind, all I see is dollar signs. I knew I had to shine, so I stayed up on my grind. Been patiently waiting, yes, it took a little.
You know, if only they
But if you look at me
promoted
right
themselves.
now,
Yeah.
jumped in the game and then I gained a little.
Yes, I do need a video.
Yes. I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but he's good. Might have retired, man. All right. Well, hey, you see that band right there, man?
I know that band.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. That's a little bit of Loced Out. Probably some of you guys have seen the video. A lot of you probably seen them a lot, but some of you don't know about them. I mean, had you seen that video before?
I have
sent it
not.
to you? Okay, well, that's a good example.
You know, when I first started coming out to the studio, I was tripping at the, I saw a lot of their CDs and stuff around.
Right.
And I was like, I'm here recording Kiss songs, and it looks like this dude does rap. And I'm like, what's going on?
So you thought, am I in the right place here?
Well, you know, I figured we must have got this place cheap. But no, I mean, it's, you know, going back to what you were saying earlier about, you know, not being a rap fan and whatnot. But
right.
I don't care what genre it is. If it's done well, you can't help but like it if you're a fan of music. And yeah, we can have that debate on whether rap's music or not, but I'm going to tell you what, try doing it if you're not that guy, because I can't do it.
It's definitely a different art, you know, a whole different production structure. You know, I learned a lot doing it because it's totally different.
Exactly.
Okay? I mean, you know, the whole process is different. The lingo is different. You know, they were talking about stuff that I did. I was like, I felt like I was in a foreign country sometime. Like, what, you know, I hear the words, but I don't know what it was. You know, I can't. One thing that pops in my mind now is lean. You know, I was like, what is lean?
What is lean?
That was in the video there. Purple syrup and all, it's promethazine. You know, and it's basically narcotic cough medicine that they buy in those big bottles. A lot of it comes across the border, I think, and you know, they mix it with like grape soda or some of that soda, you know, flavored sodas, and they drink it. I think some of the guys, I don't remember who it was, sort of a famous Texer. I believe he OD'd on the stuff, you know, and it's you know, heavily codeined,
right?
You know? So, but you know, that's just an example. You know, I didn't know what all that stuff was, you know, and they're talking about it in the different terms. You know, I haven't been in that, doing that for quite a while now, so it's sort of, you know, distant, but. It's definitely, and that's just the environment. It's like, not only that, you know, you do stuff so different. I mean, the most of the time they buy the beat, they get a producer, or they get a couple of favorite guys that they get beats from that writes beats for them sometime, or, you know, we'd spend hours and days going through, you know, getting the right backing track or the beat for the song before it even begin. And sometimes that took a while, you know, finally get one. This one's going to be great. And then Choco's really good about wordsmithing stuff, sit down there with a pad and writing stuff out, and the way all the phrasing and how everything is very important. And timing, it always amazed me. You know, Ben's real good at it too, but you know, they just so. And then doing the production side of it, you know, of course, again, I was never quite happy with, you know, no matter how good the beat was, I always wanted it to sound a little better. Right. So I without fail, probably remastered every backing track, every beat that we ever used, tweaked it, and then you start on the vocals. You know, you lay down. This is going to be boring to anybody that, unless they're, you know, interested in production and stuff. But you know, it's just really a lot more intensive on the vocal stuff. It's, you know, it's layered and so many tracks, and the, you know, if you listen to it closely, any of the stuff, you hear a lot of the production, how good it is. Now, not all of it is. To be honest, I'm not going to mention, but there's, you know, been some mainstream artists that are very popular, millionaire types, right? That I think their songs, the production is terrible. I really don't like it. I think they rush it through and just, you know, it's going to sell. Why take so much extra time on it? I was disappointed in a lot of the stuff. I wanted it to sound better, and each album we did with those guys, I think, got better and better. And the Volume 3, which is a couple of songs that I played on before, to me, they sound really good. All right, we'll move on. We're going to run out of time really quickly. The next guys I started probably working on, and this puts them at, I'm still working with them today. They're in the studio every week practically, without fail, for 15 years maybe. 12, 15 years, whatever, early on in the Hazel Green days. So, and that's Loced. That's Local Orbit.
Local Orbit. One of my all-time faves.
And those guys, I tell you, they're one of the oldest bands in town. There might be some older bands that are still active.
Right.
But I'm not aware of them.
Right.
Somebody can leave a comment or, whatever, and let us know. But with pretty much the same lineup, the core group when I started working with them was Anthony Nicholson and Wesley Russell. Wow, yeah. Ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
And of course, we've had quite a few discussions about Wes.
Yes.
Terry is, though he's primarily a guitar player, he is a bass player
don't call me a bass player when we're talking about Wes.
Plays bass. Okay, you play bass in a band.
I hold a bass.
And tell us what some of your thoughts when you first saw Wes.
The first time I actually saw him performing, I was like, there's no way that he is going all Angus Young.
That's good. That's a good way.
And playing the way he's playing. I mean, because I guarantee you on every freaking song, he's hitting each fret at least twice. And I mean, he is amazing good. But the thing is, what I love about Local Orbit is, even though I could sit here and gush on him all night, it's the other guys too. I mean, he feeds off of them. They feed off of him. Blah, 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 blah. And it's just, the combination is amazing. Amazing. And he is, first time I heard him, I was like, I'm quitting now.
Yeah, and
there's just no point.
Yeah, he is amazing. Sometimes, I've seen him so long play, but he's and we have, to be honest, we have quite a few. We have amazing talent in this area. I mean, it's unbelievable, really, the talent pool around Huntsville. And saying that, we have some really good bass players, and Wesley, is one of the best in my opinion, and my favorite. I realize I'm a little biased, but anyway, the core group when I first started was Anthony, Wes, and Nathan Guza had just taken over drumming, I think, from one of the original drummers. It might have been Tony, but I'm not sure exactly. But anyway, I saw him and Nathan was very young at the time. He went on to, he was Evil Fish's drummer, and I think, anyway, several other bands. He played with, didn't he play? I think he played with the Casket Kids for a little while too. And some, I know I'm leaving some out. He's a left-handed drummer. The SMC sessions, which we're listening in the background a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up here shortly, was the album that we worked on starting at Hazel Green. And he tracked all those songs on the studio kit, which was right-handed, and he's left-handed. So he's an amazing guy. He really is. His drumming is not like any other drummer I've ever seen. He taught himself, self-taught, without learning some bad habits that
There's the trick.
Right. And, without having any guide really other than listening and sitting down on the floor with boxes and stuff. And that's how he learned how to play. And anyway, Scott was also, was the lead guitarist too. They had a lead guitarist and he's amazing too. And wow, I said I wasn't going to do this time because, the last time we were humming, hawing on everybody's names, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that this time. But anyway, Scott Hodges. So it was Anthony Nicholson, Scott Hodges on lead guitar, Nathan Guzzo on the drums, and of course the big Wesley Russell on the mighty bass. And we did an album, and they ended up calling the SMC Sessions. It's a pretty cool album. A lot of good songs on it that are still in their set list nowadays. So I'm going to play a few of the songs, and we'll just some snippets of them anyway. Let's see. Way of the West is probably, it's one of the more epic songs here. Hear all the counter melodies and
yep,
harmonica. A little Sergio Leone.
Yeah. Good, the gooder, and the goodest.
Yep. Here comes a surprise ending. Wow, an epic song.
Extremely.
Very fan favorite too, because a lot of local Orbit fans, that's one of their favorite songs. It's up there, but
it's not our favorite.
It's not my favorite. And
I think we have the same favorite.
unfortunately, my favorite song hasn't been released officially yet.
I know, and they need to fix that.
Yeah, definitely.
Quickly.
It's it's an amazing tune, and I am going to probably insert a little excerpt here and post of a live show, because I've got a live recording, a couple of it, one at Copper Top and one at Sidetracks, and that stuff needs to be out. I mean, I can listen to it, but it's not fair for everybody else, not being able to hear it. There's a couple of different songs on this album too that I say that are totally different from normal Local Orbit, and probably has to do with Wes was the primary writer on them. They collaborate heavily, but you can tell listening to the album, there's a couple of songs. One of them is almost never played live anymore, but they're just different. And one of my favorites is Dragon Con Year One, which, Dragon Con every year, big sci-fi related type convention in Atlanta. And he went, for the first time, year one, and, his experience. So he wrote a song about it. So I think that definitely warrants a play here. So that's definitely a different type of song, and I bet you've never heard that, have you?
Oh, yeah.
You have heard it?
Yeah, you've played that for me.
Oh, okay, but I meant live.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. But I like the story, you can just sort of visualize the story of Dragon Con.
Oh, absolutely.
Talking about everything that happened, and it's really a cool tune. Hey, Jack. I'm going to do I'm going to play one more West song, and, you'll see similarities in it, because it's more punkish, than most of the Local Orbit. To me, is very hard to put in any kind of pigeonhole, but you can definitely tell the West, influences in there. This one right here, this song called Space Nation, I like the way that, the intro, it was Anthony, I think's idea, because on the talkback, a talkback mic is actually what I'm talking on now, but when you're recording, you're talking to the talent in the tracking room on the talkback, and that's how you communicate. Well, it got recorded, which sometimes it does, and Anthony wanted to use it in a song. So I was like, okay, so we're gonna hear the talkback on this first song here. On the
Space Nation, take 3. We're rolling. Count us in, Nate.
Could you tell that who that was?
It was a much higher pitch back then, wasn't it?
Well, it was a crappy capture too. We'll play it again here.
Space Nation, take 3. We're rolling. Count us in, Nate.
Count us in, Nate. This is a cool tune, though. Space Nation. I hope I get this right. It's about aliens and UFOs and stuff like that. That's what he's talking about.
Will we know, or is it too late? But if it's happening to you and me, it's all that goes back.
Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Another West song here called Boss Fight.
I like how it starts Kiss, Detroit Rock City, and it ends on Robin Trower.
Hey, I never thought of it that way. See, it's always good to get, a different opinion on things.
I'm just saying.
All right. Well, next up, during that early days of SMC, and we're still at Hazel Green, I think some of you guys know I have a very talented son, Scott II, that used to go by Thunderfoot and a few other things, but he's a great drummer. He also can play guitar and sing, and he's a good producer too, an engineer. He just really, we got into the music thing really heavily. But back early, when he was a lot younger, he started a band with a couple other young guys, and Robbie Stone, guitarist, again, one of the few prodigies that I've run across. I first met him when he was probably 14, 15 years old, started working with him, and he was just amazing then. And he, over the years just progressed exponentially. But it was Robbie on guitar originally, and Scotty on drums, and then they had a bass player, Josh Gelsinger, and Colin, another guitarist, and they batted about having, vocalists for a while, and they got Dylan Stanfield on vocals finally, and it just clicked. And they would be in the studio, 2 or 3 times a week, working on songs, writing. So I got to hear them from, just riffs all the way up arrangements, and we recorded a lot over that, period of time, from demos all the way, various versions of it. Always meaning to put out, a album of them, but the songs kept evolving, and it just, and people, when they started growing up, people moved away, different, family got in the way and stuff like that. Various other things happened. So anyway, I finally dawned on me one day. I said, I got to get something together and put some of this stuff out, even though some of it I over the years had lost the multi-tracks to. So I had, maybe a rough mix or an MP3 even of it sometime. But I was like, this needs to be documented because I think they were just really cool. And a live band, they were so super tight. Live, I think at the time, almost unrivaled, live, the tightness they had, because they played so much in the studio, which, I wish I'd have had that. I wish my dad had owned a studio when I was, and Scotty got really, really good on the drums. I remember in the first studio, which was in Tennessee, he wanted to learn to play, and I'm trying to, teach him, and Scotty was always somebody that, and there's Robbie right there, he, came easy. He was very athletic and that way, and things came easy, so he was sort of used to it. And when he started wanting to play, like a lot of people, the human body's not really meant for all 4 limbs to be independent.
Right.
It's just not the way it's designed. You've got to retrain it to be a drummer. And other musical instruments are different that way too. The piano left and right needs to be in, stuff. But the drums are very aerobic type instrument, plus the coordination and the limb independent is just unprecedented. So anyway, he's trying to do it, and he's just like, Dad, I just can't do it. He would just throw sticks and storm off and yell, and I can't do it, Dad, I'm not like you. And I was like, yeah, you can. I just, I can't get he'd have a problem with the kick and all this stuff, And of course he'd come back, calm down, and eventually get it. And, he started just improving dramatically, right before my eyes. It was amazing watching him improve. And he got to the point to where I was like, I can't even attempt to do what he's doing. I've never, number one, and number two, I've never seen anybody do that pattern before.
Right.
You know, that stuff started happening. I remember one time, I think it was Greg Yates, I believe. He's a drummer, good drummer, left-handed drummer, lives in Fayetteville. And I used to be in a couple of bands here around the Huntsville area. I don't think he plays much anymore. But, you know, he dropped by the studio there, and so I said, Greg, watch him play this song, and watch the pattern that he's playing with his feet. And because I wanted, you know, I thought, well, maybe it's just me. I haven't seen it before. And, you know, Greg watched him and everything, and after the song was over, I said, number one, I don't know what to call that, but have you ever seen anybody do that before? And he said, no, and I don't know what to call it. And it was like a ramp up. It was like if you took an electric motor with a variac on it, you know, variable voltage, and you just ramped it up and then ramped it back and, you know, kept playing with that. He would do that. And now I've heard that afterwards. Right. You know, later on I heard that, but I never had heard it before then. Just stuff like that. He just got really good at it. Not only that, you know, writing, arranging stuff in his head. He's very particular on drums too. I mean, you know, like to me, I want a little bit of play, a little bit of human. You know, we don't play very perfect, at least most of us do. But man, you know, he'll say, Dad, we need to edit that kick there. It's like you know, just a hair off, you know. And I'm like, I can't, you know, it sounds on to me, you know. Right. But, you know, so anyway, what I did was I put out an album called We Dwell Within, the early years. Is that what it's called? It's called it's called the SMC tapes, the early years. That's what it's called. And some, you know, I did that because a lot of them are demo quality, you know. Like I said, I didn't really have, some of them I didn't have the multi-tracks too, so I couldn't really mix them properly. You know, they were various different qualities. And my app just disappeared. So anyway, I want to play a couple of these on that album, and then of course I'll put it up in post, you know, to let you see some of it. You can go listen to it anytime you want. You know, all these albums are on every streaming site, you know, whether it's Amazon or Apple or Spotify. Please don't go there. And you know, who did I leave out? YouTube, Amazon, anybody. So the first one up here is called, it's always one of my favorites, and in later years they didn't play it. The reunion show, which we'll talk about later, they did it Sidetracks, and we did a live album release, and I shot a multi-camera video of it. I couldn't get them to play it. You know, it was like one of those early songs that they're like, that's old stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, we're above that now.
We're above that now. We don't play that music here. So anyway, it's called EPE, and it's a acronym, and I hope I get this right, because there's several different versions of it. It's like ear pussy impregnation, and of course that would be an I, so instead of an E. But it's something like that, okay? And you know, there was been arguments over the years, like what it actually stood for. I think it's almost like NIB, you know, the Sabbath song that doesn't really stand for anything. Tony just got the idea from looking at Bill Ward's nib-like beard.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, and everybody said, well, it's nativity in black. And anyway, I think it's just one of those things, but we're going to play a little bit of it. Now, I love the intro. Yeah, and I've been letting Local Orbit play in the background there too. Okay, well, you can tell. Well, by the way, maybe you can't, but those songs they were tracked live. I mean, you know, like nowadays, that kind of music, it's very structured. The drums are all, you know, heavily edited or produced, and you know, there were no click tracks. None of this stuff has click tracks on it, which you know is not done, especially with this kind of music. And it's all syncopated, so it needs to be dead on. So you know, it might be a little loose compared to modern production on that kind of music, but realize that these were basically done live. So you know that tells you a little bit about it, I guess.
And kids, that happens because you're well rehearsed.
Yeah, that's why I always enjoyed seeing well rehearsed bands live, because whether I enjoyed what they were playing, you know, or not, it impressed me because you cannot fake that. There's no fake to it. It takes so much work to be well rehearsed to where you're super tight. You have to play and play and play and play, and it's just, you know, it takes a lot of work, so it always impresses me. I was trying to think out which one I want to play. Scotty, you can hear him on the intros too, counting them in. So that'll sort of give an idea of the liveness of it here. I'm going to go through and see which one I'm going to play next here. Hold on.
Kill somebody, and here we go.
Your head will be on my wall. Your entrails will be on the floor. It's called Kill Somebody.
That's straight out of Dr. Seuss right there.
Definitely. And we were talking about this the other day, you know, all the writing the songs, tracking them, rehearsing them, playing them live, all this stuff. I heard it so many times. I know every part of these songs, you know, every feel, every drum part, every solo, every word, you know, it's just ingrained. It's sort of like Kiss Alive for me, you know. I'm like, I know everything about it. I've heard it so many times.
Premonitions, take two. Here we go.
It was take two. That's why he was out of breath.
Yeah.
All right, this one's got one of my favorite They got a lot of breakdowns. You know, it's metalcore. I mean, that's just, they have breakdowns, but there's one of my favorites, and I'm going to get to it here. Let's see if I can. Yeah. breakdown, huh?
Nasty.
And they did this live. It's documented live, a live release, a live video at Sidetracks here locally. So I'm definitely going to have dropped that in. We're going to watch that, just at least the breakdown part, because I always thought that too, it needed to be extended. You know, the break there when he says this, your day will come. It should have, there should have been a pregnant thing. Well,
Yeah.
Live, they did it. All right. This song is called Rippin', short version. The full version, and I had to, one of the few songs I had to edit. I didn't have to, but I did edit some of it for like radio edit.
Right.
The full title is Ripping Out the Tongue of the Priest.
Wow.
And there's some pretty graphic lyrics in it, and there's an ending part that I never used on the studio version. I didn't. It's another story, I guess, but I want to hear the first part because I think he announces it too.
Ripping out the tongue of a priest. Take 4.
Took him 4 takes to get this. I love these Tom Field intros. That syncopated type stuff is very hard to pull off.
Oh, yes.
Without a lot of editing, and this stuff, like I said, was pretty much, and Robbie would be, Scotty would track the drums live, and Robbie would do scratch tracks with him, and a lot of the times I'd end up using the scratch tracks because they were just, there's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
And he would be the type of guy, he would, he'd be watching TV, walking around the control room, looking at the ceiling, playing these things, and just dead on, man. And it's crazy. I always like this intro. It's out of time and sloppy, but it's still cool as hell. You took everything from me. Okay. We probably need to move on, but I do want to play a little bit of the live album, and of course there's video of that. Fortunately for posterity, I often wonder what it's going to be like when, I'm long gone and Scotty's old like me and telling his grandkids, like, letting them watch this video that we're getting ready to watch, parts of it, and go, that's me, Papa, that's not you, but it's documented. So, I mean, it.
So what happened?
All right. We were talking about We Dwell. And I know I'm a little biased on those guys, but we're going to watch it. Terry and I are going to watch one of the segments of that live version of Premonitions that has that breakdown in it. And, of course, I will insert the video here in post where you can see what we're seeing. But, and I think you should be able to hear the audio here. And by the way, Scotty was running 102 fever at this show, and he had just finished a very intensive set with Valbara, another band he was in with Joshua.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing. So take that in consideration when you're watching him play. Robbie unplugged his guitar. Here it come back in.
Yeah.
Thunderfoot.
very much. Y'all are the fucking tits. The tits and the ass. And the bottom
and the top.
If you're gay, you're the dicks and the balls.
Well, there's that.
Dylan and his banter. Yes, sir.
What is it with lead singers?
You know, what can you say, man? But anyway, what are your, I mean, I know I have a different opinion. He's my son, and I work with these guys from embryonic beginnings and all the way through, a lot of ups and downs, but so what are your thoughts on it? Because you're an outsider
looking in.
Yeah.
Well, my son, excuse me, my son was, heavily into that music, and he was always trying to get me to be a fan, and I wasn't having it because, old school, I need a singer, that kind of thing. And then I went and saw Lamb of God live.
Wow.
And it was, man, that was such a good show. It was Gojira opening for Machine Head, opening for Lamb of God.
Wow, that sounds like a killer show.
It was a massive show. And to get back to the point, I became a fan of that music that night. And, dude, Dwell has just been, so far beyond their years is all I can say. We were Laura and I were watching some of the videos last night, and Scott is just crazy. She was just like, look at his sticks, and I'm like, you can't see them.
Yeah.
Just Thunderfoot is, I think, underselling the rest of it.
Right. There were several other nicknames too, but I always thought that was sort of cool. Thunderfoot.
Yeah, those guys are just amazing. And I've not listened to it nearly as much as you have.
Well,
but everything
they haven't listened to it as much as I have.
Probably not.
Nobody will ever.
But everything I have heard has always impressed the living hell out of me.
Okay, because sometimes I feel like I'm not my demographic. There is nobody. It sounds really weird and condescending, I guess, in a way. But I don't know anybody like me. And I'm saying that, not only in the weird side, of it, but I meant my demographic, my age that likes the stuff I like.
Right.
Because the guys so even a decade younger sometime, I see the, glaze over, like, they don't like, they're like, that's not my kind of music. You know what I'm saying? Like, so,
yeah.
So,
but you also have far more exposure than most. And it's just by the very nature of what you do.
Yeah, I guess so. My thing on the music is normally it has to be very riff oriented. I'm a very riff person.
Yeah, okay? I know.
And and it has to be a groove, a great groove and a riff, and then that's all I need, really. It can be an instrumental with a cool riff and a groove, and I'm fine with it. It's weird sometimes working on songs. To me, I found out over the years that it's a great test when you're working on a track if you just bring the drums and the bass up, and if you can sit there and just groove to it and listen to it as a in a strictly like enjoy type phase, not in a critical, then you got it going. It's going on right, because sometimes when you do that and you're like, that's. But anyway, so yeah, I found that. So there's a lot of music that intentionally doesn't do that. Like, okay, say, as I hate to put any music in a pigeonhole, but say as a genre, generally punk music it's designed to be played ahead of the groove pocket there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that bothers me. I want to pull it back. I want to go over there like Mike, I want to pull it back and go, right, here's the groove right here. Sit right there, But
right.
No, I mean, that's not, then it wouldn't be what it is, okay? So there's some music inherently that way, that's not meant to be that way. But anyway, my point is I really like it, I guess, And so sometimes, that's why I was just telling Terry, some of this might have to cut some of this down quite a bit. It might go way long. Somebody's eyes are glazing over like, oh my God, I can't listen to this anymore or whatever. I mean, I could listen to it all day, and I do sometime. So it's any music's that way though. Good music that I like. I mean,
Just good music.
Yeah, but there's a lot of folks, especially in my demographic, probably 99% of the people in my demographic think that's noise.
I will tell you this real fast. My son was in a band similar, and they played a show at a skate park in Madison, and it was the only show that my father got to see Kane play. And after I think it was their first song, my dad looked over at me and he said, I apologize for everything I ever said about your other bands.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, and it was because there was absolutely nothing there that he could latch on to.
In his mind, it wasn't music and had no redeeming quality.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about, see?
Exactly.
And it's very hard for me to relate when somebody's that way. I mean, I can take anything, old stuff that I really don't want to listen to, or old, if it's got those qualities about it, if it's grooving and it's, and it's
right.
It's engaging me, I mean, but I don't. So.
There is science there, but we won't go there because then you're going to really have to edit.
Yeah.
But I always felt it was so cool that when you think about not even just your demographic, but everyone listening and us here in the booth, we like what we like right now, and we like a lot of stuff from the past. But new stuff is scary. It's just weird.
I don't think it is.
I mean, well,
I
yeah.
can see that.
But, as musicians, we have a different take. But your general public can be scared of new types of music.
New types of anything.
Well, yeah. But, and again, there's science there too, but we won't go there. But, because I can listen to We Dwell, and I could turn around and listen to the Rat Pack and just have a blast doing.
Yeah, me too, man.
Doing it all,
guys. Yeah. Okay, well we'll move on. There's a couple. I think we're going to run out of time on some of this too. So I don't know. Might have to be come back in another night and finish it up. I'm not sure.
Oh darn.
Yeah, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it? The next band is the story behind it. And this is not, I worked with this guy, later because I was such a huge fan. And I mean, a literal fanboy practically. His name is Gary Boley.
Oh, my goodness.
And, I had seen him for years. He's one of those guys that can play anything, It's got strings on it practically and a lot of other stuff that don't. I mean, he's a killer drummer too and sings like amazing. But, and he's grown up doing this. Well, he was in a band called FireWater Revival. And I had seen him, over the years and was just always blown away. And I couldn't get stuff to listen to. Very frustrating. I would, like I'd catch maybe a demo or something on MySpace or something, you know. I mean, it was just very sporadic. A couple of the songs, you know, there was no place to get it. And every time I would see him live, you know, and talk to him, I was like, this is ridiculous, man. Do you have others? Oh yeah, I've got stuff everywhere, you know, on CDs or on tape or, you know, spread out somewhere. There's a Bandcamp, whatever. It's just all over. And he didn't really know all what he had.
Right.
Or where it was. I said, you know, I'm frustrated, and I sort of look at myself. I can look and find and get and download stuff or whatever that most people, they wouldn't do. They would just say, I forget it. You know, I'll listen to something else. I mean, you're
right.
not going to do it. So I would always say, let me just get all this stuff together. You look anything you have, and let's put out like a greatest hits or just a FireWater album with stuff on it, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't know where how that stuff is. You know, he would just sort of blow it off like he didn't have time for it. He's always in so many projects and busy all the time. Well, I don't know what happened, but, you know, sort of fast forward like 4 or 5 years maybe or more. And I think he was in another band, actually. He's always in several. And I'm, again, brought it up, you know. Love FireWater Revival, you know. I always yell FireWater songs, you know. I'm like the Freebird guy, but I'm yelling FireWater, you know, Ent and Crow or, you know, Steamy Shine or Drinking with the Devil or something, you know. And he'd be like, oh, our new drummer don't know that and not, you know, whatever. But anyway, when I hit him up one time after a show at some club, he just said, okay, just like, and I went, what? Okay. So he goes, yeah, I'll try to look, see what I got. And, you know, by this time, these years, you know, progressing years, I had grabbed, you know, a few songs here, a few songs there, picked up a burn CD that he had one day at a show, you know, just over the years. Right. I had several. And of course, the problem was they're all different quality. You know, some of them are just demo rehearsals, some of them are MP3s of stuff, some of them are actual studio recording, very rare, just different things. Well, so luckily I had sort of jumped ahead a little bit and had some experience doing that, because I had worked on a couple albums that we'll talk about later that were recorded in a lot of different studios. Like it was an album with songs recorded by different people,
right,
over a period of time, and that it just is not good a lot of times. I mean, because they just sound different, and you try to make them sound like an album. But anyway, and I'm working on stuff for myself, like I talked about, and I had for myself. I had done this where I could listen to FireWater Revival. Well, yeah, nobody else could, but I could. I had songs done that way, and on my computer and on my phone and whatever, on my iPod. Oh. Yeah. So when he said, yeah, I started really gearing up, and I got as much as I could, and I got some more stuff from him and that he found, and I put in the album. And then I'm saying, what am I going to do? What am I going to call it? Because so I ended up calling it the, and I'm not sure this, was whether it was a good idea or it worked, but it's done. It's called the Smoke Demo Sessions.
Okay.
And there, I don't know if you've seen that cover or not, but it was a compilation. I'll pop it up. It's a compilation pictures that I took a lot of over the years of seeing them live, and some of their promotional things. That's sort of the cover. It's just a, that logo in the middle is basically one they always use, slightly edited.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm going to play a couple of these songs, and again, in post, I'll pop up, some pictures and the cover and stuff to make it not too boring. But this first one is called Ent and Crow. And let's see, let me give us some audio here. Bowley voice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw a few more up here. Drinking with the Devil has always been one of my... There's all these songs I like.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, move on. Luckily, I, of course, put this album out with all these FireWater songs on it when I listen to quite often. And probably, unfortunately, it'll probably be the only way to hear any of those songs.
Yeah.
I would love to do them all, but I just don't, record them and everything, proper. But anyway, at least they're out there. Various qualities, each one of them sounds different, even though I worked on them quite a bit. I was lucky enough to work with him, Gary, on another project called, I think this started during COVID because he was unable to, like a lot of musicians, play live, you were pretty much shut down, and which sort of was weird because I expected to be completely shut down
right
during that time, like everything else.
Right.
And I did for a little while, but since all the bands didn't have anything to do, I was covered up.
Of course.
Everybody wanted to record, What, are you open? Can we come in and do something? It was just, and it made sense after I thought about it. So I was busier during COVID than I was prior, by a factor of 4 or 5 probably. So I got, and one of the projects that he started during that time was called Hoss, or House of Southern Sorrows.
Right.
So I got to do some tracks with those, and we're going to listen to those too. Also, prior to that, he hit me up one day out of the blue and said, "Hey, Scott, I'm in a new band."
No.
Which was a big shock. And I said, "Oh, really?" And I was like the last week's thing with Sammy Hagar, syndrome thing.
Right.
I was immediately like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
I want to hear some fire. I was like, and he goes, "You're going to love it," because I think he sensed my
Right.
crestfallen attitude there, and he says, "Yeah, man, it's just it's got this female singer, and she's really."
I know where you're going.
Yeah, she's really kick-ass and everything. And he says, we're doing her like our first show at Sidetracks. And I think it was the Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead show. They're sort of like Slipknot, right?
Mushroom Head.
Mushroom Head. Why do I always say Pumpkinhead? That's a good name for a band, though.
Well, it was a great movie, too.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about... Anyway, Mushroom Head.
Mushroom Head.
Oh, Jesus.
That was one of Kane's favorites.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a very elaborate production on their shows and stuff. Of course, I've seen them a couple times. And anyway, this was like their first time. But and he says, "Man, I want you to come, take some pictures and maybe shoot some video or whatever of it." I said, "All right." I was a little disappointed, to be honest.
Right.
And not really had high expectations, really. Plus they weren't really well rehearsed. I mean, I knew he said, "Hey, we're going to probably be a little, loose. We just first show, we haven't rehearsed that much." And I was like, "Okay." But Gary, I've seen Gary play. I mean, he could be passed out, laying on his back on the floor, and just kick
wail
people's asses. So Okay, so I got to the show, and the band was called She the Devil, which I like the name too.
Right.
Chris. Oh, that's freaky. That the vocals in it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Squirrel.
Yeah. What was that? Squirrel. Anyway, bottom line is I went. And I'm trying. I'm shooting pictures, and I'm starting to shoot some video right there on the front, and a spunky, very pretty redhead singer that just wails. And Gary is one of 2 or 3 guitarists, I think 3 at the time.
Yeah.
So a good drummer too, which was the husband of the singer. So. And I was so taken back that I was a bit distracted. I shooting the video and doing what I was doing. I found myself just totally, freaked out. They were amazing. She the Devil, and and it's weird because I met her, of course, later, in a studio situation that you'll hear some of the songs from. And, she's just like sort of a typical Southern girl next door. And on stage, the energy and the sexual energy was so intense, it was overpowering almost.
Wow.
And I'd really never experienced that, but maybe at that level, I don't think ever, okay?
Up to that point?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
It was just, there's some, there's another band that we'll talk about too that, similar, but it was just an amazing show. It really was. Some technical problems, and of course they had Mushroom Head's huge back line up there. They barely had room on the stage, they got a massive production.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, the band's called She the Devil. So, and I remember, even though I think this is one of my, every song on it, I ended up tracking these songs, and in the studio, it was the studio over on University. I like all the songs on here, but this is one that I just never get tired of hearing, and sort of gives you an example of the band. And it's called Make 'Em Holler, but I think I think it should be another name. And I think when recording it, I had it named something else. And when you listen to it, tell me that you would call it something else. But it's by She the Devil, and it's called Make 'Em Holler.
That's the stuff.
Isn't it? Shouldn't it be called Preacher's Daughter?
Agreed. That was what I was going to say.
Yeah, because that's what I called it. And when I'm working on it in the DAW and everything, and I call it Preacher's Daughter, and then they're like, that's not what it's called. I was like, well,
It should be. And it doesn't follow the Gene Simmons edit, which is it's not make them holler. It's supposed to be make you holler.
Gotcha.
It's always, you got to get personal.
Yeah. So, and that you were talking about tight. Yeah. And
Wow. I mean, that when they slowed down,
right.
I mean, there was literally no gaps there. That was kids rehearse.
And it was all real. Okay. And I'll put that way, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because I tracked that stuff. That wasn't faked. That was just pretty much tracked right, the way straight up.
Totally insane.
Those solos weren't comped. That Gary's just fucking, and Adam Brandenburg also was playing some of the solos, if I remember correctly. And I have a terrible memory on that, but and the drums were, I don't even think we used a click track on them, to be honest with you, because of the slowdowns and stuff like that.
Right.
I think he just knocked them out, and I mean so yeah, and her and Christina, I think that's her name. I hope that is Christina Knowles, I believe that is. She was, and you know how vocals are done, and those type vocals. Krista Knowles. Thank you, sir. It's hanging right here on the bloody wall. Yeah, there's stuff in here. So she was so easy to do. I mean, everything was one take.
Right.
She was just going there and knock it out. It was like nothing.
You attract those types.
It was amazing. I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with a couple of those, like Holly Hines, and we'll listen to some of her stuff too. But wow, she just blew me away. I was expecting, the normal thing, and she just went there and knocked her stuff out. It was amazing. All of them were easy to work with too. So that that was, I consider myself really lucky to not only work with Gary but other people like that. Well, speaking of Gary, like I said, during COVID, got to work with this other band. I mean, one of his 1,000 other bands, and it was called House of Southern Sorrows. And I'm trying to, I just got too many songs on here. You know what it is?
That's not a bad thing.
I guess not. Or Kristen in the background just wailing away.
Get it, girl.
I think that song called Come On Home. All right, there's Julie that we're just talking about in Hydrogen. I know I got Hoss in here.
Well, yeah.
There's this T-Bat guy. He keeps popping up. Who is that dude? Do I even know him? There's Hydrogen.
No one does.
There's We Dwell. She the Devil.
Got a great drummer, though.
Who has a great drummer?
That T-Bat guy.
Does he?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Pete.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great drummer. I want to let the people know what's his
Peter
name.
Mouse.
Yeah, Peter Mouse, my ass. Peter Mouse. Yeah. All right, here we go. Hard Times Are Free.
I said, what have I done? In the words of a wise man, you done fucked up this time, son. No more that fall, no more them fire. Say goodbye to all your lovely desires. Have a drink, boy, and mean it when you say cheers. You shut down your man for the next 18 years. Nothing was happening, it's easy for the taking. No, but these are not free, yeah. Nothing was happening, it's easy for the taking. No, but these are not free, yeah. to me, yeah. I'm all that we're wrong. I have all my own amplifiers, and I have all the earthly desires. I have a drink, boy, and I mean it when I say cheers. Cause you know me paying for the next 18 years. Nothing worth having is easy for the taking. No, nothing like I'm a free, yeah. Nothing worth having is easy for the taking. No, nothing like I'm a free.
Oh, I love this breakdown to this.
You can get all you want.
That's a drummer.
Yes, it is.
And he's not a mouse.
Well, you know, nobody's perfect.
Yeah. All right, 20 Toes, Heels to Jesus. Check out the lyrics on this.
She just don't know it yet. And in my dreams, you should see it. 20 souls in the Jesus. And that whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can hear myself. I think she likes to make me suffer. Oh, she's a devil undercover. And in my dreams, you should see her. Joining souls in the Jesus. And that whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can hear myself.
Check this out.
Whiskey woman, take me away. And every time in your warm and embrace. Whiskey woman, take me away. And I don't even know your name.
If that don't move you, I can't relate to you. I really can't.
I've got to just say it out loud. But what I love mostly about his music is purity metal. All right, let's just not shake that around. It's metal, but when he sings it, it becomes blues metal, and it's just because he comes from that Greg Allman family of singers. And I've always thought this. I've never said it out loud, but now we're recording. I'm going to say it. I think that he sounds like Zakk Wylde thinks he sounds. He's got a lot of Zakk feel to it, but
without all the fucking effects. Man.
Yeah, but
Zack's so freaked out about his voice, he puts everything.
And he needs to be, because guys like Gary exist.
Gary
is a monster.
He is, man, and
he's a monster, and I love the fact that I share the same planet.
He's an amazing guy too, man, and you know,
I've met him one time, and I thought he was the nicest guy probably I'd ever met.
Nice guy, yeah. Very hardworking, you know, musician, always doing something, and it's like, it's such a shame, and you know, I know there's a lot of people like that, and not that I've met many like Gary, if ever, but you know, I know there's a lot of talented people in the world, and but it's a shame that Gary should be famous, you know, and
100% agree,
and a millionaire, multimillionaire, living in a mansion somewhere, you know,
right? He should be sponsoring this show,
right? Yeah. You know, wow. I mean, you know, I've never been a big, you know, unfortunately, especially, you know, if you talk to some of my ex-wives, or probably any of them, you know, but I never really cared that much about money. I'm just not that kind of person.
We have that in common.
Like my dad was always working these, you know, making money all the time, working these deals and stuff. And I wish I was more like that. But if, you know, I always, you know, there's a couple people like this that I wish, you know, I was like won the lottery, or was a, you know, a trust fund kid or something, and I could just say, Gary, just don't worry about anything, just do music, man. That's all we're gonna do, 24/7. Just do music, whatever you want to do.
Wait, he has a job?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he has. I mean, he most of his life, like most musicians, you know, have real jobs.
When does he have time?
I don't know. I know he
is he a telemarketer?
Yeah. I mean, he has like done it full time, you know, but I mean, it's hard, you know. It'd just be hard to do that. That song we just heard, 20 Toes Heal to Jesus. Well, we were doing a session. I don't remember what exactly it was. I also think it was sort of in the COVID time, but I'm not for sure. And it, you know, I think we may be working on some overdubs or something, you know.
Right.
And the guys were in the studio, and it literally came about, you know, just like they came to me and we're working on it. Like, hey, Scott, we got an idea. And I'm like, okay, how about doing a couple acoustic versions of the songs? And I went, wow, you know, that'd be cool. Because I had heard them, like, you know, there's a lot of downtime in the studio, as you know.
Right.
And, you know, it's really boring for especially people that aren't recording stuff. And, you know, I heard them over, you know, grabbing a couple acoustics, but that happens a lot of times, and they're over doodling around and stuff. And then what they were doing is they were over there on the, you know, off the cuff, just doing the arrangements, you know, to see if they worked.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I said, okay, well, when you want to do this? Well, how about now? And I was like, what, now? I mean, you know, it's like, so this came about, you know, just like that. And I just said, all right. And I just threw some mics up, you know,
right,
and put some stools around, and they sat down on and I got video of this, so it actually, I'm not making it up. You can watch it, but
I've seen that one.
Yeah, and they just you know, do it right there, and it was cool as hell, you know. So anyway, here's a little bit of that 20 toes heals to Jesus.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go.
I'm gonna start it over.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. I swear she loves me to death. She just don't know me yet. And in my dreams you should see it. That whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can hear myself. Oh, she likes to make me suffer. I think she's the devil undercover. And in my dreams, you should see us. 20 toes and heels to Jesus. That whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can't help myself. That whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can't help myself.
Get it, boy.
That whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can't hear myself. That whiskey woman, so full of hell. Yeah, she sings like a siren, I can't hear myself. Whiskey woman, take me away. Let me drown in your warm embrace. Whiskey woman, take me away. I don't even know your name.
God.
I got to throw a little bit of
Amen.
because that is bloody amazing.
All that was missing was cowbell.
I tell you what, you know, the amount of emotion and soul and everything in his voice too. And you can, you know, with the acoustic version, you can sort of hear
Oh, yeah.
the voice, you know, a lot more, and the, you know, it sort of jumps out, and you're like, oh my God, you
No
know.
pun intended, but it's just amplified.
Yeah, it really is.
He is absolutely amazing. I hope I'm like him when I grow up.
Yeah, one of these days when I grow up, I want to be just like Gary. Mr. Bowley. Gary, will you adopt me?